Should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see a little button. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Painter, the founder, creative director, everything behind the NAB app, Bermuda's media and marketing company that's connecting retailers with locals looking to find things they need to buy. And I'm here with Chris Burns, CEO of First Atlantic Commerce. And today we're going to talk about, or actually give a recap of some of the important things to think about when building a website and connecting it with your bank account. We recently held an Instagram live event. Over 200 people joined in to learn more information from Chris. And we want to just extract those key highlights and things to know so that you can refer to this when you're ready to build your website or when you're just making sure what you've done is the best way to position it. So with that, Chris,
yes, hi.
Tell us a little bit, hi. We had a lot of questions on the call recently, and people were very curious about how to build a website and link it with the bank account. So what would you say is one of the first things people need to be doing when they're looking to connect their website and get paid through the banks?
Yeah, so I think firstly, you got to decide whether you're going to build your own website and hire somebody to build it for you from scratch, or you're going to buy. And when I say buy, there are lots of different platforms out there like WordPress and different shopping carts like Magento, 3D Cart that already have a lot of the functionality you might already need. So if you're going to buy, one of the most important things you're going to look at is what payment gateways are connected on the back end, because it might be, if you're buying a sort of off-the-shelf website or a shopping cart, you might be buying one that only has payment gateways that are attached to US banks. And there's no way then for you to get your money to settle to your bank account here in Bermuda. So that's a key thing, because we've seen a number of times where people will go and buy something and it's a fantastic looking website, but then when it comes to payments, they're stuck and they have to start from scratch again. And if you are buying again, and if you do want to use a gateway that serves to Bermuda and it's not listed on as one of their gateways, you can always ask them if they'd be willing to add another gateway. Sometimes they will, if they're a smaller company and they're looking to grow, and they're looking to grow geographically, they might want to add another gateway because it gives them more access to clients. But some of the bigger ones, the more established ones, like a Wix, for example, or even Shopify itself, they're not really looking to add a lot more gateways right now. They've got some sort of key players that they use globally, and some of those might not be on the list that services Bermuda. So if you're buying, that's really important. If you're creating your own website from scratch, obviously you need to find somebody that has a good, strong track record in building websites, and then also ask them if they've had any experience of integrating to e-commerce payment gateways before as well, because they might have a strength in building the website and creating all the content and the look and feel, but they might not have done any software development work to an e-commerce gateway before. So if they haven't, you may want to also look at bringing in a software developer that's had that experience of integrating a website into a gateway. A lot of the ones that you'll see here in Bermuda, and a lot of the ones we've worked with historically, they will have that experience in-house, but it's definitely something you should qualify up front. So once you've got that from a website perspective, and you've chosen your payment gateway, like, so for example, our company FAC connects to all the 3 banks here that support e-commerce, and then you're going to have to go and open what's called an e-commerce merchant account with the bank, and that's not the same as a personal account. It's not the same as a corporate account. So a lot of people think, well, I have a personal account with Butterfield already, or I already have a corporate account there. Those are not the same as an e-commerce merchant account. So, and that is an application process that you have to go through with the bank to apply for an e-commerce merchant account. And they're going to ask you for documentation on the company, a business plan, any financials you might have, They're going to want to do sort of, know your customer and anti-money laundering checks on you and your business.
Well, I actually just did an interview with Peter Fawn, who heads up merchant services at Butterfield.
Yep.
And he was saying it's actually a relatively simple process if you're an existing client with a business banking account, you have a point of sale system that you've been operating, and now you're just looking to transition that brick and mortar online.
Yep.
The process is much simpler than if you're starting from scratch. And starting from scratch means I don't have a bank account at all. Yeah. And the bank hasn't had an opportunity to vet you and sign you up.
Yeah.
That being said, he also said something quite interesting to me. Also for companies, things to consider is who's your payment gateway provider, because the bank has an approved list of vendors that they even work with that work with their processor, which is First Data.
Yep.
And if somebody builds a website and then comes with a payment gateway provider that they're unfamiliar with, it takes much, much, much longer because they have to do due diligence on that gateway provider. So that's also one of the first things I think anyone listening needs to do is just touch base with your bank and get an understanding of what type of account you need. So you might need to open up a business bank account, and also who's on their approved vendor list. So when you are choosing your payment gateway provider or the company that's going to do your software integration, you're working with a team that they're familiar with and they've already done due diligence on. So
yeah, no, and that's absolutely right and really valid. And so we as FTC have worked with Butterfield for over a decade in Bermuda and in Cayman. So we're well known to the team. Yeah, we have a lot of clients that we run through Butterfield. So yeah, we would definitely be on that list. But it is important that they understand the country or the jurisdiction they are operating in, because it's not going to be the same as maybe the US, for example.
Now, you also mentioned earlier, because this came up on the Instagram call, what platforms are most commonly used that definitely work. I mean, you mentioned Shopify, you mentioned Wix. Is there any other that you would say somebody could consider working with?
Yeah, so Wix is not connected to us right now. I don't think it has any connectivity here in Bermuda. But so the ones that we get the biggest calls for is WooCommerce or WordPress.
Woo, okay.
Shopify is another big one that we see all the time. Magento is another one that we see a lot of requests for. And then we have a number of different sort of reservation platforms that are integrated to us as well. Things like Sabre, which is one of the biggest reservation system companies in the world. They work with all the major airlines, things like that. So we did that for airlines that we work with in, say, Cayman Airways, for example. So it's those are the ones that we see being requested a lot, and there are so many of them out there. And we'd love to be connected to them all, but it's just it's almost an impossibility for us in terms of just pure time. So there are other ways that you can connect in Bermuda. So we mentioned auth.net before. If we don't have a connection into them, they might. From that perspective, the difference between us and them is Authorize.net's a US company that's part of Visa. Whereas we're a local company that's been here in Bermuda for 23 years now. So we've done a lot of work here, and if you want to reach out and meet with people and that understand the e-commerce industry, not just in Bermuda but globally, given our coverage, then you can come and see us anytime.
That came up a lot because I guess, especially with the Shopify platform, which a lot of businesses now just in the process of building sites, they kind of have been gravitating towards it, and they see Authorize.net as an option, and they didn't have familiarity with First Atlantic Commerce. So a lot of people on the Instagram Live were asking, what's the difference? So you've just highlighted one, obviously customer service, having someone on the ground that you can physically meet if required. And certainly you can call, or as we joked, run into at the rugby.
Yes. Yeah.
But essentially, though, your companies are the same. It's just one is a Bermuda-based one but in terms of fees and things, I think we explored that,
Yeah.
I mean, you can give a quick review of your fees because I know a lot of people are interested in that. Like, what are the fees?
Yeah. So our fees are very straightforward, really transparent. So we charge a $99 setup fee. And then we charge 10 cents a transaction. So any payment request you send to the gateway is 10 cents. And then we also charge your $25 a month sort of compliance and support fee. And that's it. So it's really straightforward. It's very comparative in terms of any other gateways out there. Our technology is second to none. We've spent a very long time investing in the company and making sure that anything that you need to do from an online payments perspective, that we can support. So whether it's real-time payments or recurring payments, or we have really sophisticated anti-fraud platform that's built into the gateway, and we've got experience of working with either people selling t-shirts and flip-flops through to multi-billion-dollar NASDAQ listed companies. So it's it really ranges, and for us, the gateway is very scalable.
And we mentioned some other players in that. So I just want to be very clear for anyone listening in who's in this position of setting up a site, kind of what they need to think about. So first one is, touch base with your bank, get an understanding of the process from their end, select a pay or check in with Chris, for example, at First Atlantic Commerce to make sure that the platform or the shopping cart you're working with actually integrates into Bermuda. Yeah. And then we talked a little bit about, who are the other players in there? So typically there's also a company that's integrating the software. And I think we highlighted that FireMinds, Mediaville, Advanced Services are examples of those, right?
Yes. Yep. Very much so. Yeah. And those are ones that, that will know our platform or will know another platform well, have been operating in the Bermuda market for a long time. So it's really important that you get somebody that knows what they're doing, because we've seen it many times where people say, well, yeah, my cousin knows a little bit about computers, so he's going to do the integration for me, and invariably that goes sideways very quickly, and can really derail what you're doing. So that's really important. Make sure you have one of those types of companies they're going to do the integration for you. The other thing and I was talking about this on a session this morning actually was, you should be trying to do a lot of these things in parallel. So because they all depend on each other. And when you're going to the bank, for example, if it's a new company or a startup, they're going to want to know what the business plan is, and see that you actually have developed the business plan. What's the strategy for the company? This is what we're selling. This is who we're reaching out to. This is, our perceived expenses, because sometimes people forget to put the transaction fees or the bank fees into their cost model. And then okay, well, how many transactions do I actually have to do, before I'm actually, breaking even, given all the costs associated with that. So, and that strategy is also important, not just from a bank perspective, but when you're going to your website developer too. If you're building this from scratch, okay, well, what's your vision? What do you really want to do? How do you want to be seen? What's the look and feel of the site? Are you selling to just Bermuda? Do you have to take into account the US? What's your social media strategy off the back of that as well? And that will change depending on the jurisdictions that you're selling. And so, something that works in Bermuda is not necessarily going to work in the US. If you're going to the Caribbean as well, that you have to be able to adapt to the different geographies that you want to sell to. But having that plan in place before you approach any of these players, whether it's, a gateway or website developer or the bank, is really going to help you get the right resources together to be able to create a successful business.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, there's just been lack of clarity around the process for how it works in Bermuda. It's such a unique market. I mean, you talked about it on the recent chat. You know, in the US, you set up a Shopify account and the same day you link your bank account, you're done. And in Bermuda, it doesn't quite work like that. And there's, again, lack of understanding of who they need to connect with and at what point in the process, because I know a lot of people go ahead, build the site, and they get to the end and they're like, okay, how now do I make this work?
Yeah. And that's part of the service that we try to provide, to people as well, because we've been around in the industry for a long time. So we know the process, we know all the players, and we can, make all the right introductions for people to make sure that they don't make those mistakes or can understand what the process is. And that's really important. That's an important part of the service that we offer. And I guess that makes us different. I mean, if we're talking about comparisons before, I think that makes us quite different than other gateway companies out there that are really just okay, integrate to us and off you go. We view our role as to be educators as well, and help people figure out how they're gonna do this properly.
Yeah, an advisory capacity, which isn't necessarily, something you charge someone for, but you're happy to give to help make sure that they get set up correctly. So I think that's super helpful. I mean, even you being having access to get you on this call, for example, to explain this, I think is really important. But I don't want people to think that it's a difficult process or that daunting. It's as long as you understand what type of business you're trying to create and you have appropriately set it up, and like we've explained, set up your bank account, had some understanding of your cost projections, and engaged with players like the bank and with vendors such as FAC, it could easily come together quite seamlessly, I think. Yeah,
it can. And, there's a lot of, I think we talked about this as well, there's a lot of misinformation out there as well of what is involved in that process. There's sometimes I refer to this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy that it's too expensive and too complicated. And if enough people keep saying that, then that's what everybody believes. But it's not actually the case. If you look at the costs, certainly on the transaction side, which is the bit that I know the best, is, for everything that you're getting to be able to launch your business effectively to the world, and be able to sell, all hours of every day.
24/7 access.
And that's it. And that's when you really start to create a business and not have a job, right? When you're still making money while you're sleeping, that's when you're creating a proper business, not something that involves your time as the only way for it to make money.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people are transitioning on. I mean, obviously the circumstances are making it less easy to walk into a store, but I think in general, the whole world is moving to this online system because your customers aren't actually just, over in the next street or in your neighborhood or even in your country. It's a global opportunity now for people. Okay, so I think we covered the highlights. I do want to touch very quickly and very briefly on Instagram, because that was another hot topic for everyone. And it was quite clear that the traditional way of selling through Instagram, meaning the platform that Instagram provides, it's not available in Bermuda, which I know is quite disappointing.
Yes.
But there are some potential workarounds that FAC can provide. Do you want to just touch really briefly on that, Chris?
Yeah, sure. So this is a newer channel for us, and we do have a potential way that people can use Instagram, here in Bermuda to sell individual products. So we partner with a company called Figaro, which has a platform that either allows you to create payment buttons that you can drop into Messenger or WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, through to building a full web shop, like similar to a Shopify, and it's all pre-integrated to us from a gateway perspective, so you don't have to do any software integration. So it's very simple and easy to use. But those payment buttons that you can set up within Figaro, which again is integrated to the gateway, you can potentially drop those into your bio on Instagram, and if you do a post about something that you want to that you're selling, you can refer the person to the link in the bio, and then they can click on that, and it would bring up a payment window with a product description, a picture of the product. You can choose what color and size and how many of it you want, and then be able to pay right then and there through that payment window with your credit card or branded debit card. So we know that certainly works and is a way to do it. We are also sort of looking further through the Linktree options that we've been talking about as well, but also how to create more of a catalog. So if you have a picture and you want to tag multiple items of clothing, that you can go through and actually click on that and be brought to a payment page where you can choose what that product or that color or that size or whatever you need from it from that perspective. So that's still being investigated. So I don't want to overpromise on that side of it. But certainly the first option would definitely work. And the figure system is very easy to get and set up and use.
So just to break that down for anybody listening, if like in NAB's situation, for example, if I'm wearing this shirt and I'm telling everyone about this shirt and it's sold at a store here in Bermuda, I could actually have a link created to this shirt and put it in my bio on my Instagram profile. And anybody who wants to buy this shirt can just click there and go directly to a payment page to buy this shirt.
Yes, exactly right. Yep.
So that I'm sure is going to be of interest to a lot of stores, not just influencers, because even a store, if they want to be pushing and promoting a certain product and make it really easy for people to buy, that could certainly be an option for them. And it sounds like there's some other exciting things we're exploring because once again, Bermuda is a unique market, so we always have to get creative. But it's good to know that at least people are investigating these solutions, and it's something that maybe we can reconnect on at a later date. So I think when I just reflect on kind of the hot topics, I think that covered one other thing about Instagram. I remember this came up. People referenced some local sites where they saw that people could actually shop right through the Instagram. I just want to highlight, I don't know everyone's circumstance, but I know some vendors can do that because they have a bank account in another country where Instagram shopping is approved. And that doesn't work for everyone. A, because you just may not have the ability to open up an account in that country, but also it could expose you to taxes and expenses and fees that just really don't make sense for your business. But if you are seeing that anywhere, that could be one of the reasons. But as a traditional company with a Bermuda-based bank account and Bermuda business, you cannot do shop through Instagram. So just to give clarity to anybody that might be curious after hearing what we've just discussed.
Yeah.
And can you think of any other things that came up? I know there were just questions about, what's to check out, and people were inquiring about different platforms, but I think we've kind of provided clarity around that.
Yeah, I think there are a few gateways that actually connect to Bermuda. So us being one of them. So there are options there. But yeah, use a vendor, as you were saying before, use a vendor that's familiar to your bank, and that is already connected or can be easily connected to the website that you're building. So it's our job is really just to prove ourselves on the value of the service that we're providing, right? And if you need anything on that side, then we're here to help. Okay,
so this should be a great start for as far as information if you're looking to set up a site or you're just in the midst of building and you've come to the end and you're like, how do I get paid for this?
Yeah.
So, and of course, if you have any other questions, you can always reach out to myself or Chris or any member of his team. Chris, I remember you kind of gave contact information before.
Yeah, so,
what is it again?
Well, my email address is just cburns@fac.bm. Or if you want to contact the wider sales team, it is just bizdev@fac.bm. And that's the best way to make sure you get hold of everybody on the sales team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks, Chris, for taking the time. to speak with us. And if you want to also stay updated on all things Bermuda retail, make sure to sign up for our mailing list at www.nab.bm. We have some really exciting things coming up, and we'll continue to bring you informative videos like this one and all sorts of media and entertainment. So thanks again. Speak to you later.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye. I hope you keep that in.
Okay, so thanks for watching that video and for sticking around to the end. I've included all the contact information for myself and Chris down below, as well as a link where you can find all other resources related to NAB and sign up for our mailing list. Catch you next time.